It is 6:30 p.m. in Mankon Mezam Division of the Northwest Region. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me, Fon Quinter, on today's edition of Prime News, coming to you live from the studios of My Media Prime Television here in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. Let's begin today's edition of Prime News in the Northwest Region, where the people of Obang Mezam Division of the region have decried the poor state of roads in the locality, which has badly affected growth and development. They are now at the mercy of the government to get them off the nightmare island. Some with details in this report.
The road linking Bamenda to Obang, a locality in Mezam Division, Northwest Region of Cameroon, has for years now suffered abandonment by the Cameroon government as she failed to add its rehabilitation to yearly earmarked projects in recent times. Life has now become unbearable for the people of Obang Valley as a result of the bad state of roads in the locality. Transportation of goods from farms to market is a nightmare for farmers and traders who solely depend on agriculture for a livelihood. Denizens say when a loved one dies, the cost of transporting corpses is quite alarming and a call for concern. The people of Obang Valley in Mezam Division say they are paying a price for a crime they did not commit and are now on their knees, pleading with the Cameroon government to come to their aid and salvage the crippling economy of Obang Valley, whose main cause is deplorable road conditions. It is worth mentioning that living from Obang to Bamenda, chief town of the Northwest Region, and vice versa, is a huge challenge for all users of that stretch of road. It is worth mentioning that Obang Valley is the backbone of Mezam Division as concerns the production of agricultural produce.
Now, the people of Campo, Kribi, and other neighborhoods in the south region of Cameroon have in one voice questioned the activities of the Chinese iron and mining company Nsungkikang in their region. This query comes after years of socio-economic neglect by the Chinese company against the desires of the people. Nolinga takes us to the south region.
Les entreprises ne font rien pour nous. Moi, je crois que aller dans ce sens de plan de gestion, ça n'avantage pas les populations.
For years now, the Chinese iron and mining company Nsungkikang has been into the exploitation of raw materials and minerals in the south region of Cameroon. With the most exploited areas being Campo, Kribi, and Lukunja, the people in this gathering through their local chief, His Royal Majesty Blaise Ivuva, are here to say enough is enough. Going by their claims, they see nothing good coming from the company but exploitation for their own gain.
Ils n'ont même aucun document. Et à la suite de ça, je crois qu'il y a un comité qui devrait être présidé par vous, monsieur le préfet, qui n'a jamais existé. Donc ces entreprises ne font rien pour nous. Moi, je crois que aller dans ce sens de plan de gestion, ça n'avantage pas les populations.
On his part, as mediator, the senior divisional officer for the Ocean Division, Noho Bello, who was also present, would however go as far as tracing the contract basis between the said Steel company while considering the legitimacy of operation assigned by the ministers of territorial administration.
Good evening and thanks for being a part of today's edition of Prime News, broadcasting live from Studio 1 of My Media Prime Television here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala.
Heureuse de vous retrouver à l'écran de l'actualité. Madame, Messieurs, bonsoir. C'est l'heure du Prime News sur My Media Prime Television.
By the people.
Now, Colonel Sama Menguele Jacques Olivier has been installed as commander of the 5th Military Sector of Ngaoundéré. He was commissioned into office Wednesday, October 12, 2022 at the esplanade of the 5th Military Sector. Get details right ahead. Colonel Nsama Mengele Jacques Olivier was commissioned into office by Brigadier General Aga Robinson Dong, commander of the 3rd Joint Military Region.
Militaire du rang du secteur militaire numéro 5. De par le président de la République, vous reconnaîtrez désormais comme votre chef et commandant le secteur militaire numéro 5, le colonel Nsama Mengele ici présent.
Shortly after his installation, Colonel Nsama Mengele gave his first orders to his boys. The new commander of the 5th military sector of Ngaundari has promised to put order in his area of command.
There are so many challenges, especially in terms of coordinations for the forces stationed, the garrison of Ngaundari. Essentially coordination and good cohesion, good work together.
54-year-old Nsama Mengele Olivier is taking over from Colonel Ashiu Amand as commander of the 5th military sector of Ngaundari. Those securing the borders and the fight against insecurity remains top on his agenda. Over the Southwest region, the Senior Division Officer for FACU has warned members of the commission in charge of the evaluation and appropriation of the Limbe Deep Sea Port to stay off corrupt practices. This was during the launching ceremony of sensitization activities of the Limbe Deep Sea Port project. Kuma Honore reports from Limbe.
The work to officially evaluate and demarcate all the sites in Tiku, Limbe and Edinau that shall henceforth host the infrastructure for the Limbe Deep Sea Port was launched on Monday, October 10th by the Senior Divisional Officer for FACO, Mr. Shaibu, who is head of the commission. Mr. Shaibu sounded very firm when he made it known to all the commission members that he shall not tolerate any acts of corruption or anything contrary to the laws in force from any of the members as they step out to the different sites to begin work. The Senior Divisional Officer made it crystal clear that only those who own land certificates issued by the state shall be entitled to any indemnities. The Senior Divisional Officer during the launching was assisted in his presentation by the manager of the Limbe Ports Authority, Mr. Ojong Eta. Mr. Ojong Eta went on to add that the SDU's insistence against any form of corruption during the exercise is to prevent a recurrence of what happened when the same evaluation, demarcation, and appropriation exercise took place some years back in Kribi.
Has clearly announced that everybody needs to prepare their legal proprietary document. The commission would only work with legal proprietary document, which is the land title for people who have land and the permit of construction for people with houses. The commission will be able to evaluate the land as per the laws of the nation, and technicians will evaluate the value for the houses and they shall be compensated.
The commission members are expected to find out the different sites that the government has earmarked to host the Limbe Deep Sea Port Complex and to do the following: demarcate and map out the space at the Tiko Wharf, Down Beach Limbe, Bota Wharf, Ngeme, Keplimbo, and Chante Naval, Isongo at Bakingli, and at the Edina Wharf area. In these different locations, they shall clearly delineate the land space that shall henceforth be owned by the Limbe Ports Authority. After the demarcation, the Commission shall proceed to take an inventory of all those who own property within the different sites, such as landed property, houses, and crops.
The long-awaited Limbe Deep Sea Port project is finally here. The people of Limbe extend their gratitude to the head of state for having kept his promise. But they have a worry, because you bear with me that among the 7 sites that have been identified, there are some that are presently being occupied by people in terms of properties. So, but the chairman of the commission, the person of the senior division officer, has assured the people of Limbe that those with properties, their properties will be evaluated and compensated upon.
It should be recalled that the work of this commission is a follow-up to the August 16 ministerial order that was signed by the Minister of State Property, Survey and Land Tenure, Minister Henry Eyebe Ayisi.
Now, a capacity building workshop on conflict resolution and dialogue has been held in the Bafoussam 3 municipality. The workshop is aimed at promoting living together with the integration of internally displaced persons in Bafoussam, West Region of Cameroon. More on this with Cynthia Azano.
Identifying the factors affecting and aggravating religious conflicts and exemplary practices was the lead towards the fight against the different forms of religious tolerance at the local level. This capacity building workshop, which took place at the Bafoussam 3 Council, was aimed at reinforcing local authorities and community organizations in mobilizing the population towards conflict resolution.
Permettre aux communautés locales et aux autorités locales de promouvoir le vivre ensemble.
It is to permit the local population and local authorities to promote living together. So it is a question for us to have the means and results to permit us have the mechanism for social cohesion and the consolidation of peace at the level of the Bafoussam 3 municipality.
Au niveau de l'arrondissement de Bafoussam 3e.
Among the discussions were the difficulties internally displaced persons face in the West region.
We have a good number of IDPs that have passed through our office, and we have discovered a good number of difficulties they are facing. For example, accommodation, opportunities to get into economic activities, and even their basic needs. And these difficulties have even rendered a good number of them to even lost their lives on the street. From the experience of one of the local chiefs who was telling us here in this meeting today.
Among the participants of this capacity building workshop were leaders of civil society organizations who identified the need of the displaced population and proposed possible solutions.
Il est question de les mettre ensemble. Parmi eux, il y en a qui ont
First of all, we have to bring them together. Among them, some have problems in feeding, while some do not. So we have to assemble this group and see how we can assist them positively and progressively, so that everyone can benefit effectively from the opportunities.
Progressivement, afin que chacun puisse bénéficier effectivement des opportunités qui leur sont offertes.
It should be noted that many recommendations were made by men of God, traditional chiefs, among others, who came together to promote peace and living together in Bafoussam, West Region of Cameroon.
Leadership coach and 2010 Junior Chamber International President Roland Quemen has launched Volume 2 of his third book titled Impactitude Spirit. The launch took place on Wednesday, October 12 in Douala, as Nicole Tackle tells us.
The launching of the book took place on Wednesday, 12 October 2022 in Douala. The book was launched during a training session under the theme, How to Reinvent Yourself in a VUCA Environment, thanks to the Impactitude Spirit. According to the author Roland Quemen, Volume 1 solved diverse problems and difficulties faced by entrepreneurs and leaders, and therefore paving the way for Volume 2.
In 2020, we wrote the first book. It was an answer to the challenges that the leaders and the managers and the entrepreneurs were facing. And the success of the Volume 1 now gave us the strength to go to Volume 2. Volume 2 has more tools. It's more, we went as far by detailing the tools. One of the tools is what we have called the RAE matrix. At the end of all this, what are the type of aptitude that you need during this crisis? What are the attitude? What is the right mindset that you need to develop? And what are the action steps that you need to put?
During this amazing training session, participants were drilled on how to adopt, cultivate, and implement the right attitudes and actions in their different environments.
Moi, il y a un passage qui m'a marqué particulièrement.
For me, there is a sentence on page 70 which says, "The best way to be accomplished is to produce happiness for others." And for me, it is a big gesture of humanity. Also, the more you share knowledge, you impact lives, and it is a better way of reproducing yourself. This is a teaching I will be taking back home from this training and hopefully to impact other lives.
Aussi bien professionnels que dans nos environnements personnels.
Je peux dire que lors de cette séance de coaching,
During this book dedication, I learned that we need to change our mentality and also our way of reasoning. We need to develop our skills and also adapt to our daily difficulties in life.
Le défi que nous avons rencontré dans notre vie.
Volume 2, Impactitude Spirit, consists of conceptual definitions, the 6 steps of the reinvention process, and the 3 dimensions of the Impactitude Spirit.
Now, in continuation of cultural activities to cement bilateral ties between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Cameroon, the Saudi Embassy in Cameroon has been introducing Cameroonians to Saudi cultural virtues. Coffee consumption parties have been organized in Yaoundé to enable Cameroonians experience Saudi way of life and hospitality. Our Central Regional Correspondent, Bo Elvis, with details.
Cameroonians and Saudis come together to have a taste of Saudi tea as part of efforts to promote cultural collaboration between the two countries. Drinking tea is a traditional habit among Saudis. The tea is usually consumed throughout the day, and in all occasions, such moments are used to showcase Saudi generosity, hospitality, and ability to entertain using songs, poems, and paintings.
We are trying our best to show our Cameroonian family our appreciation and love by sharing parts of our culture. Today last time we showed the Saudi cuisine, and today we are sharing our Saudi culture. This year it is the year of Saudi coffee, as Saudi Arabia aiming to be a major world player in exporting coffee. For now, now we are cultivating about 300 tons per year. Saudi Arabia aiming to be able to produce more than 2,500 tons with the investment of 350 million starting May this year.
The organization of an upcoming Islamic cultural festival will be another opportunity to bring Saudi and Islamic culture to the limelight in Cameroon.
It's a good idea for now to share with our Cameroonian family the tradition of Arabic coffee. How it's prepared, how it's been given, what does it symbolize, what does it mean to us. And we are really happy and grateful to have our friends and our colleagues and ministers being here help us to facilitate this event.
Apart from culture, Cameroon and Saudi Arabia collaborate in several aspects. Each year, diplomats from both countries always brainstorm on ways to consolidate and improve diplomatic relations between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of Cameroon.
To Health, October 13 is observed as World Sight, set aside by the World Health Organization to raise awareness on the importance of good eye health around the globe. It is observed this year under the theme, Love Your Eyes, as Bokengo were the thousands.
Eye health is often a neglected health issue, but the eye is one of the most important organs in the human body.
The eyes is a sense organ in our body, which is like a camera that snaps images from the outside, takes it to the brain, and we are able to interpret them, and we call it, that's what we see.
Being a complex sensory organ, the eyes helps in improving brain focus, stores and transfer information to the brain by means of 2 important organs, namely the cornea and the optic nerves.
The cornea is that transparent part of the eye, which is in front of the eye. It is transparent. It can be known just by people who are used to the eye, because the layman will see it as dark. The point you see it dark, it has a hole in between, which is the pupil. But normally, a normal cornea is supposed to be transparent, like a glass, that light passes through into the back of the eye. It is like an entrance, a window, where light gets into the eye so that somebody can be able to see. Talking about the optic nerve is what connects what you see to the visual center in the brain. It is like the cables that you connect and bring it to the bulb, so that when you put on the switch, the bulb shines.
According to the surgeon, vitamin A deficiency, dry eyes, cataracts, glaucoma, corneal opacity and more are some signs and triggers for an unhealthy eye.
If your eyelids don't close very well you don't blink normally, the cornea might get dry, and when the cornea gets dry, it might get wounded, and when it gets wounded, you have a scar. And this scar will prevent you from seeing. Children must be well nourished because vitamin A deficiency will obviously lead to these cornea scars, and this will prevent them, this will give them bad vision or even get blind.
Laying emphasis, she states,
if the cornea and the optic nerve are not functioning very well, if we neglect them, we are going to have problems in the cornea. We can have cornea scars, we can have cornea degenerations, which most of the time is hereditary. And if the optic nerve is not well protected, if you leave your eye to get traumatized, if you are not aware of glaucoma, if you don't easily recognize that you have a glaucoma, the optic nerve is being destroyed gradually, so that leads to a glaucoma and the eye will be destroyed.
With more than 2.2 billion people living with visual impairment around the world and an estimated 43 million persons blind, persons with visual impairment are advised to wear sunglasses regularly, avoid smoking, eat healthy balanced diet packed filled with vegetables, maintain healthy weight, keep hydrated, avoid alcohol, make regular eye checkup a priority in the hospital, love their eyes as self so as to help reduce the increasing number of visual impairments and blindness which is on the rise globally.
Bokengo Wade reporting that news out of Cameroon. The United Nations General Assembly on Wednesday, October 12, 2022, met in an emergency meeting to condemn Russia's illegal invasion of Ukrainian territory. Details on this and more with Catherine Ekongwe.
26 African countries during the meeting voted in favor of the resolution, rejecting Moscow's controversial referenda in 4 Ukrainian regions, and 19 other countries abstained. Mali, Central African Republic, Ethiopia, the Republic of Congo, South Africa, Sudan, Uganda, and Zimbabwe were among the African countries that abstained. Eritrea, which had previously voted to reject the UN resolution condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine, also abstained. Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, and Sao Tome were absent from the assembly. The General Assembly of 193 member states had met in an emergency meeting and adopted the resolution with 143 votes in favor of the resolution, 5 countries against, and 32 abstaining, including China, India, Pakistan, and South Africa, despite diplomatic efforts by the United States. We now take you to Uganda, where Tedros Adhanom on Wednesday said a clinical trial of vaccine to combat the Sudan strain of Ebola could start in the weeks ahead, as the East African country declared an outbreak of Ebola on September 20 and said the infection were being caused by the Sudan strain. Ugandan Health Minister had confirmed a total of 54 Ebola cases and deaths. In a virtual address to a meeting of Africa regional health officials in Kampala, Tedros said several vaccines were currently being developed to deal with the disease, as 2 of the vaccines could be put in a clinical trial in Uganda in the coming weeks, pending regulatory and other approvals from the Ugandan government. Meanwhile, hundreds of Tunisians have clashed with police forces on Wednesday, October 12, 2022, during a protest to demand a rescue mission for relatives lost in a sea during a failed migration attempt. The angry protesters burnt tires, threw rocks at police forces, and also blocked the main streets in the coastal town of Gazis, shouting, "The people want our lost children." The incident in southeastern Tunisian city came more than 2 weeks after a boat carrying Tunisian migrants went missing off the coast during an attempt to reach Italy. According to the Tunisian Red Crescent, seamen found 8 bodies on Monday, which are now waiting for DNA analysis. So far, only 3 bodies have been recovered and more than 10 people still missing.
So sports, FIFA has confirmed One All Sports to be the kit manufacturer of the Cameroon national team for the 2022 Qatar World Cup. This means Le Coq Sportif, whose contract was terminated by Fecafoot, is not recognized. Magdala Ayong-Besong with details.
World Football governing body FIFA has confirmed One All Sports to be the kit supplier of Cameroon. This was approved through a list of all World Cup participating countries and their kit suppliers released by FIFA yesterday, Wednesday, October 12, though Cameroon is yet to unveil its 2022 World Cup kits. In the meantime, the case between now former French kit supplier Le Coq Sportif and the Football Federation of Cameroon is yet to be resolved. However, Fecafoot and the French supplier are hoping to get the issue resolved before the start of the competition in November. It should be noted that Fecafoot prematurely ended its contract with Le Coq Sportif and announced a 3-year deal with One Sports as new kit supplier via an official press release on August 12. And so for a while now, Le Coq Sportif has considered the contract termination an illegal one, thereby dragging Fecafoot to court. Despite the ongoing court case, FIFA has listed One Sports to be the kit supplier of the Cameroon national team for the upcoming Qatar World Cup.
We've come to the end of today's edition of Prime News on My Media Prime Television. My name is Fon Quinter. Coming up just after the news is Prime Hour with Kum Leonard and his team. We meet again tomorrow, same time, for another edition of What's Making News in and out of the country, God willing. Good night. Stay safe.